Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you so much, Suryati, for the presentation. The infographic that you shared. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to apologize due to my low lighting. I look like a bad actor over here. Look like a hacker, man, for my video. All right, but back to the infographic, it reminded me a lot on the recent MOH guideline. I think this came at the really, really right timing. MOH guidelines for usage of devices for the children. And I feel that most of the time, the brunt of this goes to the parents. Rightly so, but at the same time, we're looking at it from a whole of society approach. I mean, I hate that term whole of society, but it's something that we tend to envision the fact that there is a panacea for this. There's a cure. There's a single solution that will solve all of these. But I think from what we gather from all of the speakers' points today is that this requires a solution, but it's not a one size fits all solution. There was one image over there of a child wearing a VR device. Um, the concern is that while we move forward into the future, we are literally placing screens. We are talking about, reducing the use of screens, but with the VR devices, we literally placing screens in front of the children's face. So I think, yeah, definitely this is a solution that we need to take them away from online or maybe to offline more offline activities. This relates back to how the developers are looking at this and how the participants will try to find solutions for this. So, yep, thank you so much, Suryati. Again, Mr. Shahid, Norita, for your presentation and the really, really useful insights that you have provided to all of us here so that we may identify the gaps and challenges and then leverage on tech. And here's the thing, it doesn't really need to leverage on tech completely. This is something that requires even moving this requires a creative use of moving someone offline in order for them to solve this solution. Yep. So let's now proceed to the Q&As, the Q&A segment. Question for Sis Norita. In one of the questions here, most of the stuff that you are proposing requires again, it doesn't happen overnight, and it requires a lot of, what was the term that you used previously, groundwork? How do you establish? It looks like it requires trust between the children and the parent. How do you establish that? From what age, and how do you do that actually?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so as for me, not only being a SAFA, literacy program coordinator and an educator as well, being an educator for more than 20 years, I would say, uh, having conversations, open conversation has always been the heart of my approach. Um, when I have conversations with them, it's really not about just simply telling them what to do, but is to ask them how do they feel about it. So there were times whereby my kids come back and say, Mama, this person did this and did that. And the first thing, as much as we know that is wrong, the first thing I will ask is, so how do you feel about it? So I will ask back the questions to them. I know it takes a lot to actually ask these questions, and it takes habit to do that. And then there were times whereby my daughter got it's a terrible letter when she was in P4. She had a terrible letter that says, no, you should not have friends and everything. It's really a bullying letter. And instead of as much as I feel so worked up about it, I calm myself. It takes a lot. It takes a lot from us as parents to calm ourselves before even trying to lash out our feelings, because it's not about us. We have to remember that it's not about us, it's about them. So for us, we are facilitators to their learning, we are facilitators to their learning about life skills. So for me, I will always ask them, like, so I asked, oh dear, I say, how do you feel about it? And when she told me, oh, actually I may look okay, but inside it's painful. That really broke my heart. Then I was like, okay. So, and I keep asking questions. It's really like a counselor kind of situation, but at the same time, we as parents, we need to give our advice, right? And of course, I think we are very, very blessed to be Muslims, whereby our life has been so curated so beautifully, whereby as parents it's just we literally need to follow the Quran and Sunnah in order to guide them through, because there's nothing that we can there's nothing that can go wrong if we follow that. But like you said, trust doesn't happen overnight. It really takes a very long time, but it's not too late. It's really not too late to start again. Once again, as mentioned, there will be times whereby I ask my children, um how do you think, like for example, like I said, the infographics that I give her, I said, do you think that it has helped you? So I actually ask her personally in terms of, do you think it's okay for me to do this, or why is it not okay? I think with regards to that, number one is also about our expectation as parents to them, and why is it as important. Maybe I can share with you, before I actually gave my daughter the phone, it took me a while. It took me a while, like, when can I do this? And how do I make sure that I approach it in such a way whereby I don't have to deal with problems right like after that? So in my head, I'm already preparing what are the things that I need to take to talk to tell her, what are the rules that she needs to remember. So I came out with the plan. I came out with a contract. So let me share with you the contract, which I shared with a lot of parents, and a lot of them say, Narita, can you send me a soft copy so that I can use it? Please feel free to do so for the sake of humanity and for the sake of our future generation. I'm giving it to you guys for free. So I did this phone usage agreement, and this is something that they have to remember, and is printed hard copy, and I have soft copy of her signing the phone agreement. So basically, it's pretty much the usage, like till 9 p.m. And I think some of them said uh there's no questions asked. If 9 p.m. means it's 9 p.m. Unless really, Mama, I really need to finish this. I need 15 more minutes. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and there's a respect of family time, privacy, parents can check messages, and I make it in such a way whereby there's no such thing as no, 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 no. It is a very, very constructive way of telling them, hey, apps must be approved, or parents can check messages. You must log, if you log certain your screen details, you must inform us. Homework must come first, everything must come first, grades. Now, there are consequences, which I think consequences help very much for me. First offense, verbal reminder. Second offense, 1, 2 days taken away, which happened already. Yeah? Second offense, by the way, just so you all know. So now go back to the first offense. So third offense is really longer, because I think so far she's taken it very seriously, and because she has already signed an agreement. And because there's an agreement, there was trust built as well. Because I ensure that there are certain times whereby we need to, give leeway and such. And there was this one time whereby I read a message, through her conversation with her friend, and her friend say, "Wow, your mother's was so strict. You only have 3 hours on the phone every day." And then she said, "Yeah," but she actually added something. But she is nice. I don't get. I'm not being hit, or I'm not being punished, physically or something like that. She said, but she's nice. So I feel that okay, she knows that there is certain amount of parenting going on, but she also knows that I'm a nice person. Okay, thank God that I read that, like, I said, okay, good to know that she thinks I'm a nice person still. But yeah, I think that's when people always say, I always believe in conscious parenting. And when I approach gentle parenting and I encourage gentle parenting, people have this connotation that, oh, gentle parenting doesn't work for me because my child doesn't cannot be gentle with them. I say, I think you got a wrong impression of gentle parenting. That gentle parenting means there is a certain way of respect that you give to the child, the way you talk to them. There's no shouting going on because you do not want them to shout back. So if they are shouting, I will question back. I say, excuse me, where are you learning how to shout like this? And that's when they, okay, I'm so sorry. I don't even have to say anything. I just question them back. I say, I'm sorry, but why are you speaking like this? Where do you learn it from? And that's when they step back. So we have to also give leeway that there might be times whereby they tend to forget. And then we have to come back down and say, sorry, but I think you forget about this rule or that rule. Yes. So Is that question? You know how mothers they love us whenever they yes, correct. So and also when my child when I said, "Are you okay with me checking?" She said, "Yeah." And she said this, "As long as you don't judge my photos and whatever I posting." I say, "I don't." I say, "Have I ever mentioned anything?" So there are times whereby I will provide that, leeway and provide that space for her to express herself. However, if the expression is going to hurt other people or is going to hurt her own her own impression, then I would tell her, okay, I think you need to go slow on certain things. So hence the infographics like stop oversharing or try to not overshare. So all these things come in. So we will always come back again. There's always review sessions during our chats. There's always like how's the phone going along? Is it everything so far so good? She said, yeah, I'm okay. And I think because secondary school, goodness gracious, they're finishing school at 3 p.m., 6 p.m. So they don't really have time to look at the phones, which I'm glad. I'm very, very glad about that they're very busy with their CCAs and such. So I think that has helped a little bit. But as mentioned, conversations with your children, it's a must have. That's why for me, as much as WhatsApp is important, but there are certain times whereby you really need to have conversations with them. And if you have to be firm, we have to be firm, but we have to be firm with respect. That's all we can say. Yeah. Hopefully that helps
Thank
along.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Norita. I love the point where you actually share with us the agreement, or I would say the memorandum of understanding. It looks like an MOU, but I think the
Yes.
most important point that you raised here is actually the changing nature of parenting. That a parent does not need to abide by one single style of parenting. It looks like you are look at it from an authoritarian parenting point of view, and then after that switching it to gentle parenting. And this is the most important point that you've raised here, with regard to establishing trust with the
Yeah.
children. At the end of the day, there was the gist that I took from it, and and as a parent of three, it is something that I do resonate with as
Yeah.
well.
I mean,
Thanks for sharing that.
we don't really have to be like that, general for them all the time. Sometimes my daughter get very embarrassed with how I am, whenever I'm a fun person, she's like, "No, Mama, can you please stop? Can you please stop?" So
Okay.
she knows that there are times whereby we have fun, but there are times like, hey, look, I mean business. So if we have that kind of consistency, then inshallah they will understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that there's a lot of interest on your contract idea. I think that's something that I feel you should make it available. I mean you can even sell the idea if you want to, or make it customizable of sorts. So yeah, again, participants, please take note of the ideas that you may have thought about now, and, mull those ideas and use it during the Mostek Challenge itself on the 22nd of March. Let's proceed to Ustaz Shahid. Ustaz Shahid, just now you were listening to the different parenting style that exists. How do you, in the event that your children does not abide by certain rules that you have provided, how do you bring them back to the right path? Siratul Mustaqim kind of approach. And the second question would be, do you use Notion for your own marriage as well? And remember, our topic theme for this time is nurturing families. It's not just relationship between parents and children, but also relationship between husbands and wives. Do you use Notion as well to coordinate between your partner, your spouse, and yourself? Please.
Yeah, Bismillah. Thank you very much. Okay. So I think after listening to Sister Rita and Sister Suli, like we are really we are in trouble lah with our generation children kan. It's really scary. I haven't given a handphone to my kids yet. Tapi screen time dah lebih lah. I think dah berapa satu hari berapa jam. Because I take care at home. After orang balik sekolah dah makan semua, then I need to do work, and then they are doing the work, and then after that they do work like 1 hour, and then I give them the choice lah. So it's very hard to monitor, but the thing that I really believe, insyaAllah, I doakan for all the people, the parents yang here, we have religion, we have Islam in our home, and of course challenges is there. Macam mana kita baca Quran hari-hari, macam mana kita sembahyang hari-hari pun, we will face challenges lah. But for example, the thing that we need to have is faith to our children. Macam Sister Rita explained about the trust. They will go through something. Eventually, it will lead to us and kita upset. How come you do this? Like, I never do this to you, or I never teach you, or where this come from. So this is a lesson for us to how to deal. And Sister Rita's shared about gentle parenting and about listening. Itu pun really a challenge for us, for me. Macam kita nak empathize, kita repeat, I feel you, we repeat what he felt, and then it's very challenging when kita tengah emotional. So the best time for me is always, if I have something to say, it's not immediate, it's always after solat jamaah together with my family during Maghrib. So every time after solat Maghrib, we will after doa, and then kita akan ada like 1-2-3 minutes punya sharing session. Kita akan ada macam sahabat kita apa hadis for example, and then that's the time where if I have any concerns, I will raise up. Kalau I have hopes and dreams ataupun I doa in Malay or in English so that they can understand that macam for example someone sakit, kawan dia sakit, kita doa ya Allah, teacher dia ni, so I include the hopes and dreams or the trajectory of family dalam that doa. And if we continue do that, insyaAllah that's the foundation lah. That's the foundation. No matter how shake the challenges of technology is, Allah will help us lah. We hope for that. That's one. Apa lagi the notion for family
with spouse,
I never use
with your spouse. So basically, do you use Notion or any other app solution in order to coordinate with your spouse?
No kita semua hands on lah. Kita semua hands on. So I'm the one yang technology. I berbuih tak ada. I teach my Notion. Pening lah. Memang pening. It's not for everybody. Dia macam blocks lah. Dia macam Lego. When you open macam blank. Apa nak kena buat? So from you can create anything. You can create anything lah. You can have automation semua. So macam it's not for everybody. It took me 2 weeks to comfortable. Pasal dia macam Lego. Dia macam you use this blocks lah. And my kids ada kat dalam question ada macam tak malas ke dia orang? Memang malas lah. Memang nak kena suruh disiplin lah. But 2-3 minutes a day lah. 2-3 minutes a day. But sekarang dah malas lah. Sekarang I don't keep track. So I think they haven't update anything except for those yang total, one of my children dia minat in this. Dia suka annotate, dia suka design. So they use macam Canva and then embed kat dalam Notion. So they have like notes and then a few pictures and then they boleh design their own homepage lah. Dia macam itu lah. Yeah, I think that's it lah from the question.
Thank you, Ustaz Shahib. It feels like I get what you mean. I think how many children do you have? 5, 6?
Alhamdulillah, 5.
MashaAllah, 5. Yeah, I think again same with different individuals, even different parenting style. Also with different children, it takes different solutions, and that's what I'm getting here. But I think you raised a good point when it comes to I think one of the points that you raised here is mostly communication, is keeping that communication alive with your children, however the method is. It can be through Notion, it cannot be through Notion at all. Just now you were mentioning best practices that you're going to talk about earlier. Before we proceed to Sis Suliati, can you just explain briefly about what you meant by best practices?
Best practices, I forget lah, terlepas lah. Tapi okay, I didn't give them phone. I use Family Link, tapi after Sis Suliati cakap yang bila secondary, they know how to bypass that security. Okay, seram. But I think we need to, as a parent, we need to aware of what they are browsing, they are doing, they are playing gaming, learn about the content of the games, set the rules. But after this, I want to use the contract idea. I want to say, okay, you need to explain to me what this contract, what's the game content. Misal, I try to cakap no violence in the house. Tembak-tembak semua tak boleh. So, when they are quarreling, fighting about games, they can express their feelings, but they cannot be physical. And then, because I baca satu buku about how to talk to your parents, ada buku apa, tapi it's about let them solve their problem themselves before they come to us. So I want them to be I need to step in or not? Macam sampai the violence baru I step in. Tapi they always ayah ni, ibu ni. They don't. I want them to deal their same because they are close to each other. So they always meet. So my best practice tadi actually more to the foundation lah, the solat jamaah, the communication lah. Yeah, actually itulah. And technology wise, keep in the loop lah.
Thank you so much, Ustaz Shahib. All right, so we proceed to Sis Suryati. Being mindful of the time, it's already 9:27. After this, after we pose the question to Sis Suryati, we will proceed with the photo taking session and maybe a closing remark by someone, by myself maybe. But yeah, let's pose a last question to Suryati. Please, we are still open for questions. You mentioned in one of your infographic, you talked about how these devices are being used by parents as a babysitting device. Like it replaces them doing their own parenting work. It got me thinking about, at the end of the day, we are talking about managing our children's devices, the use of devices. I feel that it is something that should start from ourselves as well, ourselves as parents. And just now you mentioned about as adults, the screen time that we have. Is there any advice that you, or maybe it's a practice that you do by yourself for us to start, intrinsically with ourselves before we try to impose this on our children? Is there any best practices on your end also when it comes to the usage of devices?
Okay, thank you. So basically for me, when I think about the word parenting, right, it's actually, I feel that parenting is not so much about you teaching your children. It's actually more about you teaching yourself so that you can be a role model to them. So it's actually less about your children's behavior. It's about you as your behavior as a person, because you are the adult in this relationship, and your response to your children's behavior. Because basically your children, if let's say you have managed to train yourself to be calm, you have managed to train yourself to be disciplined yourself, inshallah your children will follow. Okay, but yeah, so that to me is the definition of parenting. So when it comes to device usage, let's say you want to help encourage your children to be less addicted to the phone. The hard truth is we have to do the work ourselves lah. We have to first and foremost remove ourselves from the gadget, force ourselves, okay, because it's very, very alluring. The screen is very, very alluring. It's built to be like that. Okay, it's one of the challenges of the end of times lah, unfortunately. So one of the things that I like to remind my children and my family is that, I always remind them on the sunnah of having a conversation with people, because I always tell them the Prophet ﷺ, when he talks to people, he would literally turn his body and his head towards them, so he would give 100% of his attention. So this is something that I try myself to do. So if let's say I notice that my daughter is talking to me and I'm on my phone, I would put it down and then I'll turn and then talk to her like that, okay, like 100%. If let's say I'm on my phone, she's talking to me, I'll be like, I'm so sorry, I'm typing this is something very, very important. So I will explain to her. But once it's done, I'll put aside my phone and then I'll turn to her. So this is something that you have to be disciplined enough to do lah. Okay, so sorry. And then the other thing, you hear the Shopee, yeah, okay. Oops, okay. Okay, so anyway, the other thing is,
And we don't.
gosh. Okay. So the other thing is, okay, so certain family time, we actually ban the usage of handphones. So for example, during meal times, when you're all together, no one can use the phone. Or when you are over at the grandmother's house and there's a lot of people around, I tell them, don't be on your phone, don't go inside the room, and don't talk. You end up not talking to any of your cousins. That's not allowed as well. Yeah, and yeah lah, I think like Sis Norita, like there's always like first time, second offense. So second offense too, we'll immediately remove their phone from them. Like we take their phone, we keep it for them until they are ready to once they have learned their lesson. Yeah, so that is something that you can consider lah when it comes to showing our children how to what's that to be less addicted to the screen. Inshallah, hopefully it starts with us. Yeah.
Can I add on to her point? Actually,
Go ahead, Norita.
I think for us, we just have to remind ourselves, remember that adab is the first priority. Because I just found out from my daughter, she was just saying that she met her friend's mother and her friend with her in the lift, and she salam, which is the basic, nothing to be, to be proud about. It's the basic that you need to salam and the elderly lady. And she actually said, her friend, she said, "You're the first friend who actually salam my mother," which I was very shocked. I was like, she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, this is concerning. It's not something to be like, I'm not saying that it's something that, oh, I'm very proud. Well, this is the basic. There's nothing to, So I think that's something that I realized that for us parents, we are so caught up with education. We are so caught up with all these things. But do we remember that adab comes from us? And we are the ones. We cannot depend on school. We cannot depend on our caregivers. It has to start from us. So I think that's something that put aside tech, put aside AI, put aside all these, but do we actually focus on adab to begin with? It's something that we need to, maybe hopefully that there's a, question to, sleep upon it. Like, I'm not sure, sleep on it. Yeah, just that's all I want to share. I really have to say that one because it's
No.
very scary.
Thank you, Norita. Actually, I wanted to provide opportunity for the speakers to have their final words. Keeping in mind that we're going back to this MOSTEC challenge and the participants, most of them are youth. They are not parents themselves, but the whole purpose of the objective of this session is for them to gain an insight or from people like us, the techno Vikings, the tech dinosaurs, so that they can understand fully what are the challenges that they are supposed to be try to find a solution to. So thank you so much, Norita, for these final words. It's really, really impactful. I post the opportunity to Shahid or Suryati if you have any final words, keeping in mind on the MOSTEC challenge and the participants before we proceed with the photo taking session.
Okay, Bismillah. Okay, I see Ustaz Syed doing that. Okay, so I assume I have to share first. Okay, so basically, I think now that you mentioned, actually, most of the MOSTEC challenge participants are youths, right? So maybe I'm just hoping that maybe I think I mentioned that I'm just hoping that someone will be able to come up with something that allows both parents and children have boundaries now when it comes to the usage of technology. Yeah. So yeah, that will be something that will be really cool. If we can insert something that has like an Islamic content or make it Islamicize it, is it? Something like that. That will be even better. Yeah. So that's my hope lah for this MTC.
Thank you, Suryati. Shahid?
Just not ask. So the participants need to do an app or project according to the theme, is it? Nurturing family or open?
According to the team, nurturing families, but it doesn't need to be related to parenting also if they want to. It can be related to strengthening families, for example, and it will be up to their interpretation on that.
I see. I have no kata terakhir. I mean for us, we know we have a lot of challenges and problems, but for them, maybe at that point, it's very hard to feel so they need to be more empathy or yeah, very hard lah. I don't know because analogy recently, the last they do this games they do that Pokemon, but for reading books. It's so superb, but it's very hard to. They try a lot of things but kids will affect to other things, friends So it's a behavior thing It's a peer pressure thing. Yeah. inshallah lah, empathize. Maybe for parents, but parents also have a lot of apps in phone. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, inshallah lah, inshallah. We see lah. Yeah, thank you very much.
Also,
Thank you, Shahid.
one more thing. I
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
to mention just now, Sis Norita was sharing about contract and things like that. I just want to share that even as a secondary school teacher, I think a lot of my students actually they tell me that even teenagers they crave boundaries. They actually like it if you give them boundaries, you give them rules. Like we always think, oh, teenagers, children, they like to do everything on their own, or they have their own way. But actually, they when you ask students, okay, who's their favorite teacher, why do you like this lesson and that lesson? Why do or they will actually tell you, okay, they like strict teachers. They like teachers who are strict but reasonable, so reasonable but strict teachers who are able to put in place boundaries because it helps keep them safe. Yeah, so maybe if an app that can help, include boundaries, just throwing out ideas lah. Yeah, but yeah, I just want to tell you that even as humans, the reason why Islam has like all these boundaries for us is because our soul deep down we need those boundaries to keep us in check and to ensure that we don't transgress. Yeah, so this is something that I feel is quite interesting to share with lah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Suryati, Ustaz Shahid, and Norita. I think we will almost reaching the time.